Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode 2 of our Unexpected Parts series. And again, just like in the first episode, I am joined by Layman. Hello, my friend.
Hello, and thanks again for having me.
And just to quickly, for people who have not seen the first episode, in this series, we're going to be looking at unexpected characters that you might see in the upcoming Amazon Lord of the Rings TV series. And in the last episode, we looked at Glorfindel and potentially the Nazgul. But in today's video, we're going to be looking at Layman.
Uh, we were thinking that right after we finished the first video, we were thinking who would be a good candidate to continue, who would be a good candidate for the second episode, and immediately the Blue Wizards actually came to mind. So we tried to talk about them a little bit. Yes.
So in today's video and episode 2, we're going to be looking at the Blue Wizard. So take it away, Layman.
Okay. Yeah, well, just one more little thing that we didn't mention about Glorfindel that may be important when we talk about the Blue Wizards, because of course they are the Maya, right? And it would be it may be difficult to explain this whole hierarchy of powers in Arda or in
Yeah,
Middle Earth.
just simply put
Yeah,
it. So you have the Valar, and then you have
yeah,
Maya, who have
yeah.
Valar.
So yeah, Eri was the god, right? And then Vala were the highest powers, and the Maya were the helpers. So the second most powerful beings, and we don't really see any Vala in the Lord of the Rings, and but we do see some Maya like Sauron or Gandalf or Saruman, even the demon Balrog, right? Is also a Maya spirit. And what Tolkien said about Glorfindel after he came back to Middle Earth was that he pretty much gained so much power that he was almost on this Maya level in terms of power. And that may be significant, and that may also be the reason why he was chosen and why he was sent back together with the blue wizards in the year 1600 of the Second Age. Again, this was the final version, as Tolkien kept, rediscovering Middle Earth, and according to this final version, they all came together. And whilst Glorfindel was sent to help the elves in Eriador, the Blue Wizards were sent east
Yeah.
uh,
And I'd like to point
to
out that as well, that
yes,
what Layman is mentioning, but Tolkien did write. Originally, he said they came in the Third Age, and this was mentioned
mm-hmm,
in the Unfinished Tales. But in his later books and
yes,
writing, which is the Peoples of Middle Earth, that is where it said that
yes.
Glorfindel and the Blue Wizards came to Middle Earth in around 1600 of the Second Age, around the same time as the forging of the One Ring, which is important to say.
Because it yeah, sorry, because it made more sense, especially for the elves, uh, be, because the world had been changed by the time it was no longer possible for the elves to come back to Middle Earth in the Third Age after the fall of Numenor. So it was he actually found out it was only possible for Glorfindel to come in the Second Age, right? So that was one of the reasons. Okay. Anyway, so yes, that's he came in the second. So the Blue Wizards came with Glorfindel in the 1600. But who are they? Last time we said that Tolkien didn't write much about Glorfindel in the Lord of the Rings, but at least he's there for a couple chapters. The Blue Wizards are not even mentioned, not in The Hobbit. they're pretty much not mentioned at all. There is one hint, though, in the chapter Voice of Saruman in the Two Towers, where Saruman mentions the rods of five wizards. So there he basically hints that there are actually five of them, the five Istari, the five wizards, the five Maya spirits. And there is also they are also mentioned in the movie version of The Hobbit. And this is perhaps significant because, of course, we're talking about the upcoming show, and as it has been established, there is going to be continuity with what Jackson did, right? With the movies, and not only in design and perhaps music, but also in actual lore. What happened? So it might be significant what Gandalf says, and he mentions the Blue Wizards,
Yeah,
and he says that
he doesn't
he has
remember the
quite
name.
yeah,
Yeah,
he has quite forgotten their names. There might have been some issues with the rights.
yeah, because
Um,
if I let me jump in, interestingly, there was
mhm,
actual after The Hobbit, the first one came out, there was actually a legal dispute with one of I think the Tolkien's bodies, who were
mhm,
trying to. I'm not sure the legality of this, but they wanted to try and take money from The Hobbit due to the fact that they even referenced the Blue Wizards and were in that scene. And maybe the reason Gandalf was not able to remember the names is probably due to legal stuff like that. But it's still interesting from lore-wise that so many years later, maybe thousands of years later, he wasn't even able to remember their name. As the fate of
mhm.
it is quite interesting because um, Tolkien even referenced in letter 211 that he feared that they had failed, as Saruman did, and that they went and began secret
Yes.
cults of magic. But we'll move on to that
Mhm.
later. But it's interesting during The Hobbit that there's the legal problems that Amazon might have to face as well, because if they want the Blue Wizards in the second age, they're going to need
Mhm.
to have rights to the people of Middle Earth. But continue.
Yeah, the failing of the Blue Wizards is something actually quite tempting. At least for me, I would imagine that it could add some dramatic proportion if they actually did fail. Not like Saruman, let's say, not by being corrupted. Because I remember when Tolkien said that all five wizards failed except Gandalf, he actually, of course, we know that Radagast, he stayed he was never corrupted. He only strayed from his task, right? So he was never turned to evil. So, but he failed from his main mission, and the Blue Wizards may have failed
Yeah,
simply by being
and
by being killed also.
yeah,
But in the end, Tolkien actually said that the reason why they were sent east was that they were supposed to help those tribes, those Easterlings that had previously rebelled against Morgoth, who was of course the lord of Sauron as well, that had rebelled against Morgoth in the First Age, and basically so that there would not be as many Easterlings joining Sauron in the second and later third age, and that the free peoples would not be overwhelmed by simply by the numbers of all the tribes, all the peoples fighting against them, and in that they actually succeeded in the end. But of course, if the creators, if they choose to have them, they don't have to follow that suit. They may have them even killed or fail in any other way.
essentially,
What
and
do you think?
I would like to play back to what you said about earlier about them not being successful. As in the Unfinished Tales, this is a quote from it, quote, "Indeed, of all the story, only one remained faithful," and he's of course
Mm-hmm.
referring to Gandalf. So we know that they fail, and as you ask me now, could Amazon go that way of showing them eventually failing, or
Mm-hmm.
could they apply the Blue Wizards in a way that it doesn't affect the outcome of the Second Age, but is also not 100% what Tolkien wrote? Because as you know from the Tolkien estate, that they want to have the same beats of the Second Age, the same, have the same
Mm-hmm.
events, so the law can't be changed, etc. In that sense,
Yes.
but maybe in a more smaller way. Because if it doesn't
Yeah.
directly affect the main events of the Second Age, it could be
Mm-hmm.
possible. So what do you
Yeah,
think?
I don't think it would be changing any of the main events because it's not their actions, they're not mentioned in the appendices. So yeah, I think it should be fine. But yeah, uh, that's not for us to decide. I want to come back very quickly to those names actually, and by that already jump into the prognosis about whether they will or not appear. So as we know, Tolkien has named everything at least twice, and so he did with the Blue Wizards. Uh, but the two names that are perhaps the best known are Alatar and Palando, right? And that may be one of the first problems with them being on the show because, as we know, and again spoilers, uh, in the beginning, or what we assume would be the beginning of the show, Sauron is actually, or Sauron calls himself Anatar, so the Lord of Gifts, and that is
Yep.
very similar to
Mm-hmm.
Alatar,
Yeah.
and that may actually be very confusing. And I remember that there were some issues with Sauron and Saruman being very similar in the name, but
Like even in
yeah,
the
maybe that.
you got Fingon and Fingolfin, it's always quite
Yes,
hard.
in the Silmarillion itself is really a linguistic nightmare for many readers. But
That's why a lot
I
of people
find it
don't finish it on the first go on the
yeah,
Silmarillion.
I
And
find it quite fascinating.
yeah,
But yeah,
but one thing
well,
about the names I would like to bring up is that
mm-hmm,
if Amazon wanted to have the Blues in the Second Age, they will want to get the rights to the peoples of Middle Earth. And in that book, their names are, sorry for the mispronunciation, Morhinita and Romistamo, meaning Darkness
yes,
Layer and East Help. So to
he's
first of all
helping. Yeah,
counter the problem of Alitar having Morhinita, even though you have that Anatar bit, because you have Hinatar, but it's still easier than Alitar Anatar. So I think
of
having the
course.
M there is much easier.
Yeah,
And also, so if we were to see them in the show, this would probably be their names. But we never know. They It is speculated whether Amazon does have the right to the Unfinished Tales, and if so, they could choose. But for what you said earlier,
I,
it would make sense if they went for Romistamo and Morhinita more than
they better do have the rights for all the money they paid, right? But
250 million. It's
eh,
crazy.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, as we said, there's not there's certainly not as much to say about them as there was about Glorfindel with his amazing feats. We don't know as much about the Blue Wizards, but we can speculate a little more. And just by coming very quickly one last time to Glorfindel in terms of the speculation and continuity. Um, when I think always when I think of the creators, I assume they have to plan this ahead, and they have to believe that if this show is going to be success, they're going to do more, right? Whether it's going to be the third age, not even necessarily the Lord of the Rings again, but all those 3,000 years prior to the Lord of the Rings, or even more what would be much harder, but probably much more interesting as well, the Silmarillion, right? And that speaks volumes in favor of including characters like Glorfindel, because he could be in the second age, but also in the third age and the first age, where he plays a major part, or yeah, he plays a very important role in both. But the Blue Wizards, on the other hand, they do not, right? They do not feature in the Silmarillion, and they're not they're not present basically in the third age either. We don't know what has happened to them, and as we hear from Gandalf in the movie version of The Hobbit, he has already forgotten their names. So that doesn't bode very well for them. However, not every character has to be present in everything, even
Yeah,
if they are going to continue making more and more seasons, which
yeah.
I hope they will one
Yeah, we
day.
all hope. And one thing maybe to combat this issue is maybe just have the Blue Wizards in the show, maybe as a little teaser, or the as was referenced by Gandalf in The Hobbit, there could be another character, maybe I don't know, Círdan or Gilgalad, who may maybe be able to reference the Blue Wizards, etc. So, or they could even just be in one episode, or just probably what I'm trying to hit
Yeah,
at. Probably we might see an Easter egg of the Blue Wizards in the show.
yeah, could be. Well, yeah, sure. What I think does does speak in their favor is, as I said earlier, is the presence of the wizards, the magic. Otherwise, of course, Galadriel or Elrond, they can both do magic, but they're not the real wizards, or
Yeah,
not as we imagine them, not like Gandalf or Saruman, and they're not Maya. So, and otherwise, we will not see any besides Sauron, right? We will probably not see another Balrog, and even if we do, he would be a bad guy. So there would be no one sort of to counter
yeah, that's
Sauron.
really an interesting point. As often, like on the Reddit, on so many people say, could we see dragons in the show after Game of Thrones? Oh, will Amazon want dragons? And I'm telling you right now, Amazon or people like Jeff Bezos of the creators will probably want dragons in the show. But it's how do you
Mm,
implement them? And that's the tricky part. And the same with magic in
mm,
the show. Of course, Tolkien is a magic world, it's a fantasy world, but with Tolkien, he restricts magic to a level where it doesn't overcompensate or change things
yes.
drastically
Yes,
and just
the
be,
magic mostly
yeah.
comes from the presence of the characters, right? So
Hmm.
that's why it even comes from men, right? Just from their kingly presence, like Aragorn's and previously Turin. The very majestic presence simply does the trick often, but and especially with the elves, right? And we see that with Glorfindel and many other elves. But yeah, it's just little more interesting in a way, with the likes of Gandalf, even though they do not show it so much. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no mumbo jumbo to say it so simply.
So, and then to
Yeah.
want to have, and probably Amazon want magic in the show, and of course, from Sauron, he's a shapeshifter. He's going to be in his own planet, which will probably allow them to use lots of magic,
Hmm.
I guess. But
Yeah,
from,
that's interesting, right? The
yeah,
the shape shifting thing is certainly something to.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, but we're straying from the blue is, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
they could use the Blue Wizards as a a reason and as potentially a scapegoat in order to use magic and show maybe instead like what other way could they potentially bring magic into they'll play a big factor within the second age because of course some people who probably don't know a lot about the show say why don't bring Gandalf back, why don't have him, he's a wizard, he wasn't of course as you know he wasn't didn't come to Middle Earth during the Second Age, but having the Blue Wizards there, and it's so and it's great that is coincidentally around the exact same timing of the Forging of the Rings and the main events of probably the first few seasons, that 1500 to 1600 time period of the Second Age,
Yeah.
that they is coincidentally there. So I think so potentially it could be a perfect way to show some magic within the Second Age. Maybe not to a large or important degree that may change the course of events and the law of the Second Age, which is important that we have to go back to because of the Tolkien estate and what they said. But it would be interesting to see magic on a maybe a lower level effect and see it on a more of a ground base, but it still be there. And so that, and
Yeah.
then probably Amazon, they want to take this, they want to take dragons off, you want to take magics off, you want to take battles off. So many things they want to take off that you need in a fantasy show, and maybe
Yeah.
showing magic from a good side from the blues instead of seeing it from all from Sauron would be interesting. So that could
Yeah.
that we're creating an argument maybe for we're pitching the idea of why the Blue Wizards may potentially be a good idea.
And
Not
there would be
me.
also one way to show more of Middle Earth and parts of Middle Earth that we have not previously seen, right? So having them travel east would be a nice way to introduce those areas. You know, the areas around the Sea of Faroon and even further east. And we see from the cast that there are really various ethnicities, and yeah, maybe we'll see them in Numenor, but it's very likely that we will see more Easterlings or Haradrim. They can even come up with the idea of sending the Blue Wizards one east and one south. There's no I mean, they don't have to strictly come together both east, because we know that the Southrons were also a great threat to the Free Peoples later on. So that's another possibility.
Yeah, and
And
of course, if the show is going to explore Harad or Umbar or places from the east, and of course we can't make that assumption based off the cast. We have to wait for more detail because even though the maps do spread that far, but that's maybe potentially because of the placement of
because of
Numenor.
Numenor,
Yeah,
right?
but
Yeah,
still, if we are going to see Harad or Kand or places like that, it'll be perfect to maybe show the Blue Wizards there, and maybe not have them in lots of episodes. Maybe for the few episodes that we are
it
in
would be the
Harad.
reason to
Yeah,
have some
yeah.
conflict there, right? To Yeah.
Yeah, and then maybe the characters that maybe they're going away from the law, and the characters go to Harad and Kand, they will see maybe the rebellion force of the Blue
Hmm.
Wizards. Or if some people speculate that in the East that the Blue Wizards became evil and actually helped Sauron, and that no, that's a wild fan theory. But if Amazon want to go that
Yeah.
way and show there's conflict in the East as well, but so what I'm trying to say is that if we are going to
But
see,
even sorry to interrupt, but even coming to the original mission to support those tribes that had previously rebelled against Morgoth, that could also bring a nice diversity in those areas, right? Because we often think of Easterlings as only the the basically the soldiers of Sauron, right? So having more diversity there and having some clans that will actually, or tribes that will actually be against Sauron could be interesting, right? And could,
yeah,
yeah,
as
would
so
definitely
like
help.
they aren't one-dimensional characters, and they see more
Hmm.
layers to them. So yeah, if we are
Yeah.
going to the east, it would be great to incorporate the Blue Wizards as well. But we're going to be wrapping up now. So do you have any final thoughts, Layman, on the Blue Wizards?
Just one very quick. I wanted to mention the emoji that Bayona sent in
Oh
or
yeah,
typed in his in his post. I don't know if it was Instagram
and I'll
or
put that on
Twitter.
screen right now. But yeah,
Okay, yeah, there were four emojis after his post about the shoot, and the first one was the emoji of a wizard. And of course, it could have been coincidence. It could have been just something to make it look more Lord of the Rings. But yeah,
It is quite a far
it,
reach, but who knows? Well, maybe it's a
yeah,
little
that
goof.
that I can't think of any other wizard besides the blue wizards who would be fitting for that. And maybe it was a bluff, but yeah.
Most likely a bluff, but if that is true, that would be great. And you heard it here first as well. But so yeah. Any final thoughts on the Blue Wizards?
No, I just I wanted to mention first, but I can say now. Of course, many people are. This is a fun time, right? This anticipation period where we can only guess what's going to happen is a fun time for all the fans, and of course many people are having the same ideas. I've just recently seen a video. Oh, I haven't seen it, but I know there was a video about the Blue Wizards. I didn't want to watch it, not to get influenced. And right after we did the one about Glorfindel, there was a thread about him as well. So it's obvious that many people are going to have similar ideas, and of course, bear with us. We're not trying to steal anything from anyone, or we're not trying to be repetitive. We just bring our
Yeah.
our little to the heap. Yeah,
And that's lead to my final point is that characters like Glorfindel, characters like the Blue Wizards are interesting and potentially fan favorite characters as well. And if Amazon want to maybe, and these are my final thoughts on the Blue Wizards, is that they are not a necessity and they don't have to be in the shows. Like I won't be like angry, maybe a little bit disappointed, but not angry that they are on the show because effectively we don't know much about them, and maybe there could be a problem that if Amazon do use the Blue Wizards in a bad way, they are just ruining the characters. But it would be
sure.
see the Blue Wizards, but is a necessity? No, but could they come up as for 1 or 2 episodes or come up as an Easter egg? 100% they could easily. And I think that's what's if they were going to be in the show, that would probably be the main way. It's probably through maybe 1 or 2 episodes, maybe go down to if they're doing a bit of a storyline in Harad. And of course there is that possibility that they could, as we referenced earlier to that magical argument, there's not a lot of magic from actual allies in the second age of the three
Yeah.
peoples of Middle-earth, so that could be a use as well. But unless you have any final thoughts, Layman,
No, no, you wrapped it up perfectly.
and that's great. And thank you again for coming on for
Thanks a
this,
lot.
and hopefully we'll be doing more episodes as well. And thank you to
Yeah, looking
everyone,
forward.
same. And thank to
Bye
everyone
bye.
else. And yep, bye to everyone else. Thanks to everyone else for watching this long and watching till the end. Please like and subscribe. And until the next video, my friends, goodbye.